morning, students, and welcome to your English class. Today we are going to take up a lesson from your book, Communicate with Cambridge. The name of the lesson is Children of India. About the author. Ruskin Bond is considered a pioneer of children literature in India. Ruskin Bond likes children because they are more frank, open-minded, and emotional. His art of characterization is unique and different from others, and his style is subjective and autobiographical. He paints a picture-like image with his words, and his language is simple yet deep. He writes mostly about the middle class and takes characters from his own surroundings. The rich and poor, small and grown-up, vendors, traders, schoolboys, etc., all are portrayed in their respective way of living. The Room on the Floor, Roads to Mussoorie, The Blue Umbrella, etc. are some of his major works. Introduction to the lesson. This lesson is about how children in different parts of India who live in remote places go to school. It shows us the difficulties they face every day while going to school. Adventurous children, mischievous children, responsible children, there are children of every kind in this story about the children of India. Now let us discuss some new words from the chapter. Outskirts, the outer parts of a town or city. Plying, travel regularly over a route. Defiant, challenging. Chatters, talk informally about unimportant matters. Monsoon, the rainy season. Sufficient, enough. Hardiest, capable of enduring difficult conditions. Satchels, a bag. Gathering, an assembly of a group of people for a purpose. Prosperous, bringing wealth and success. Now let us discuss the word meanings in the chapter. Extrovert, an energetic, happy person who likes being with and talking with others. Trudges, walks slowly and heavily. Eerie, mysterious and strange. Disconcerting, disturbing. Enchanting, charming. Blizzards, snowstorms. Aloft, high up in the air. Proliferate, flourish. Hardship, suffering. Scruffy, untidy. Now let us discuss the entire lesson, Children of India, by Ruskin Bond. They pass me every day on their way to school, boys and girls from the surrounding villages and the outskirts of hill station. There are no school buses plying for these children, they walk. For many of them, it's a very long walk to school. The narrator is observing boys and girls, children from neighboring villages, and they are going to school on foot because they have no transport available to them. Ranveer, who is 10, has to climb the mountain from his village 4 miles distant and 2,000 feet below the town level. He comes in all weathers, wearing the same pair of cheap shoes until they have almost fallen apart. Now Ranveer, who is 10 years old, has to walk a long way to reach school. Ranveer is a cheerful soul. He waves to me whenever he sees me at my window. Sometimes he brings me cucumbers from his father's field. I pay him for the cucumbers. He uses the money for books or for small things needed at home. Now Ranveer is a cheerful child even though he faces a lot of problems. Sometimes he sells cucumbers to the narrator and he uses this money to buy books or small things which are needed at his house. This shows us that even though Ranveer is a 10-year-old, he is mature for his age. Many of the children are like Ranveer, poor but slightly better off than what their parents were at the same age. They cannot attend the expensive residential and private schools that abound here, but must go to the government-aided schools with only basic facilities. Not many of their parents manage to go to school. They spend their lives working in the fields or delivering milk in the hill station. The lucky ones got into the army. Perhaps Ranveer will do something different when he grows up. Now the narrator says that many children are in similar situations like Ranveer. They are poor, they are not very well off, financially stable. But there is a difference. Unlike these children who can still go to government aided schools, they can still afford to go to a government aided school, their parents could not even go to a school. They could not even afford to go to a government school. They usually spend their time delivering milk, or they used to work in the fields. He is yet to see a train, but he sees planes flying over the mountains almost every day. How far can a plane go, he asks. All over the world, I tell him. Thousands of miles in a day. You can go almost anywhere. I'll go round the world one day, he vows. I'll buy a plane and go everywhere. And maybe he will. He has a determined chin and a defiant look in his eye. Now Ranbir lives in a remote area. He has never seen a train, but he sees planes flying over the mountains every day. Now the narrator depicts a small conversation he has with Ranbir. Ranbir asks the narrator how far can a plane fly. The narrator says that the plane can go anywhere. It can travel for thousands of miles. It can travel all around the world. Ranbir vows that one day he'll buy a plane and he'll travel the world. Now Ranbir is a determined person, and perhaps he might just fulfill this dream. Up to a few years ago, very few girls in the hills or in the villages of India went to school. They helped in the home until they were old enough to be married, which wasn't very old. But there are now just as many girls as there are boys going to school. Now, up until a few years ago, very few girls went to school. They were married off at a very young age. But now the same is not the same. A lot of girls, just like boys, attend school. Bindra is somewhat of an extrovert, a confident 14-year-old girl who chatters away as she hurries down the road with her companions. Her father is a forest guard and knows me quite well. I meet him on my walks through the Deodar woods behind Landor. Now this is the second character which the narrator introduces. It is Bindra. She is a 14-year-old girl. She is an extrovert. She likes talking to her friends. She likes socializing with them. Her father is a forest guard and the narrator knows him quite well. I had grown used to seeing Bindra almost every day. When she did not put in an appearance for a week, I asked her brother if anything was wrong. Oh, nothing, he says. She is helping my mother cut grass. Soon the monsoon will end and the grass will dry up. So we cut it now and store it for the cows in winter. And why aren't you cutting grass too? Oh, I have a cricket match today, he says, and hurries away to join his teammates. Unlike his sister, he puts pleasure before work. Now, the author had not seen Bindra for a week. He had not seen Bindra going to school for a week. So he asks his brother, what's wrong? Bindra's brother says that nothing is wrong. She is helping her mother cut grass because when it is winter time, they need grass. There is no grass, so they cut the grass now because it's monsoon season and store it in winter so that the cows can eat it. And when the narrator asks him why isn't he helping out, he says that he has a cricket match and he goes away. So here we see the difference between boys and girls when it comes to education. Boys, they can do as they please, but girls, they still have to help out at home even if they do go to school a lot. As winter approaches, the days grow shorter. Those children who live far away must quicken their pace in order to get home before dark. Ranbir and his friends find that darkness has fallen before they are halfway home. What is the time, uncle? He asks as he trudges up the street past Ivy Cottage. Now, when winter comes, the days get shorter and the nights get longer, and these children, when they are going back home, they must walk fast so that they reach home before dark. But that is never the case. They always reach home after dark. Now, Ivy Cottage is an actual place where Ruskin Bond did live. Ruskin Bond has this habit of putting real places and memories from his life, from his childhood into his stories. It's dark at 6 and by then Ranbir likes to be out of the Deodar forest and on the open road to the village. The moon and the stars and the village lights are sufficient but not in the forest, where it is dark even during the day, and the silent flying of bats and flying foxes and the eerie hoot of an owl can be a little disconcerting for the hardiest of children. Now, Ranbir likes to be on the road, on his village road, before it gets dark, but that's never the case. When they are walking through the forest, even though the moon is out and the stars are shining, the light never reaches the ground because the trees are covering the ground. There is a thick foliage of trees and they cover the ground. So the light never reaches the ground. And it can be a little creepy, a little scary for these children who are walking back home in the dark. Usually Ranbir has the company of other boys and they sing most of the way, for loud singing by small boys will silence owls and frighten away the forest demons. One of them plays a flute, and the flute music in the mountains is always enchanting. Now, usually Ranbir is accompanied by his friends and they sing loudly so that it can silence the owls, and they believe that if they sing loudly, they can scare away the demons living in the forest. One of them also plays a flute, and that music is a little comforting to them when they are walking in the dark. Now, not only in the hills but all over India, children are constantly making their way to and from school in conditions that range from dust storms in the Rajasthan desert to blizzards in Ladakh and Kashmir. In the large towns and cities, there are school buses, but in remote rural areas, getting to school can pose a problem. Most children are more than equal to any obstacles that may arise, like those youngsters in the Ganjam district of Orissa. In the absence of a bridge, they swim or wade across the Dhanai river every day in order to reach their school. I have a picture of them in my scrapbook, holding books or satchels along in one hand. They do breaststroke or dog paddle with the other and form a chain and help each other across. Now, the narrator says that all over India, in these remote villages, in these remote areas, not only just in the hills, children go to school in any condition, whether it be blizzards, whether it be snowstorms, blizzards are snowstorms, or dust storms like in the Rajasthan desert. They go to school every day, despite the obstacles they face. Now, he has mentioned one such place, which is the Ganjam district of Orissa, where children, they help each other cross the Dhanai river. Now, as you can see in the picture, there are children, they are holding each other's hands, they are forming a chain. They lift their bags up on their heads and they help each other cross the river to reach school. Wherever you go in India, you will find children helping out with the family source of livelihood, whether it be drying fish on the Malabar coast, or gathering saffron buds in Kashmir, or grazing camels or cattle in a village in Rajasthan or Gujarat. Now, the narrator says wherever you go in India, children help out everywhere. Children help out at home, whether it be drying fish, gathering saffron buds, saffron is kesar, or grazing cattle. Only the more fortunate can afford to send their children to English medium, private or public schools, and those children really are fortunate. For some of these institutions are excellent schools, as good and often better than their counterparts in Britain or the USA, whether it's in Ajmer or Bengaluru, New Delhi or Chandigarh, Kanpur or Kolkata. The best schools set very high standards. The growth of a prosperous middle class has led to an ever-increasing demand for quality education. But as private schools proliferate, standards suffer too, and many parents must settle for the second rate. Now, the narrator says that only very few people who can afford such education, such expensive education of private schools, can afford to send their children to these schools. Others mostly attend schools which are run by the government, municipality schools, and often these private schools are better than their counterparts in USA or Britain, and you can find these schools in a lot of cities like Ajmer, Bengaluru, New Delhi, etc. And these schools have very good quality of education. The great majority of our children still attend schools run by the state or the municipality. These vary from the schools to the bad, to the good, to the bad, and to the ugly, depending on how they are run and where they are situated. A classroom without windows or with a roof that lets in the monsoon rain is not uncommon. Now, the narrator says that mostly children, even now, they attend municipality schools or schools run by the government because they are cheaper in cost. Now, these schools, government schools, can either be good or they can be bad or they can be really, really bad. The conditions over there are really bad. And that depends on where they are situated. There can be a classroom that has no windows, or it can be a classroom which has a roof which leaks. Even so, children from different communities learn to live and grow together. Hardship makes brothers of us all. Now, despite all of the obstacles that these children are facing, they still face these obstacles together as a community, and they learn to live and grow together. Because they are facing hardships together, they form a bond, and they actually become close together. Because hardships, when you face hardships together as one, you form a bond and grow as a community. The census tells us that 2 in every 5 of the population is in the age group of 5 to 15. Almost half of population is on the way to school. Now, the census tells us that children nowadays, almost half of population which is in the age group of 5 to 15, they are going to school. And here I stand at my window watching some of them pass by. Boys and girls, big and small, some scruffy, some smart, some mischievous, some serious, but all going somewhere, hopefully towards a better future. Now, the author ends the lesson on the same note as he started. He's observing these children who are going somewhere, different kinds of children, boys and girls, some are small, some are big, some are neat, some are smart, etc. And he hopes that these children are going towards a better future. I would like you all to make sentences with these words as your homework. Thank you for watching.